One. Okay. What's good, everyone? It's your boy Nati with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone. And today, I got the Tay and Todd podcast on the show. It's been a long time coming. I'm glad you guys stopped by. I appreciate you guys taking your evenings, out and joining us for a great show tonight. We got a lot of Washington football team questions lined up for you guys, and should be a nice one once again. So that being said, as I like to start off every single Washington football team weekly live stream, can you guys please introduce yourself to all the good people out there who are watching?
You want to go first, Tay?
Yep, I'm Tay, as from Tay and Todd podcast. You see my name, Deontay, but so we started this podcast, almost identically a year ago, maybe a little over. And I just love watching the football team, man. And I was a diehard Redskins fan, and me and Todd just hit it right off the bat. And it's really rare finding those people that you can like really talk like football with, like about your team. You get some guys who are like still on the Kirk Cousins, like, yeah, y'all still got Kirk Cousins. Like, come on, man. No, like let's talk like that. Let's talk like the O line and D line and like, come on, man. Like you always have those guys like, oh, Donovan McNabb, and I'm just like, come on, like,
right.
But I've been a fan for a long time, and I'm diehard. I hate to say it, but I'm really diehard in it. Win or lose, it either ruins my Sundays or it makes my Sundays extremely great. So that's it. That's a little bit about me. Ty, you go ahead.
Yeah. I want to argue about like who's going to be the third string left guard. I don't want to talk about Kirk Cousins, but yeah. So it's kind of the same for me. It was, I don't know, at some point early 2000s where it just kind of hit me. Like my family's not really into football. It just hit me, and then me and Tay have been friends. He's the only person that I know who is as knowledgeable and as invested in this team. And then I was the only person he knew. So it was like a match made in heaven, and then just started the podcast and then kind of just the YouTube. And it's just been great. And then I think the coolest part about it is being able to meet people like you, Nati, be able to meet other people like Rio and just so many people in the Washington football Twitterverse or just fans. It's kind of like you have an instant connection. Like there's no awkward time because you have something to talk about. You have like 90 people to talk about if you want to. So that's been really cool. So thanks so much for having us on, man.
I appreciate that, guys. And again, appreciate you guys being on. And with that being said, let's get started with the questions. We got a lot to unpack tonight. The first question that I wanted to ask you guys is, of course, right, there was OTAs that started this week. What do you guys make of the OTAs for Washington this week? And have you been impressed by any of the players so far? Obviously, very limited sample size, but have you been impressed a little bit, or has anything really piqued your interest over the last week?
I guess I'll go ahead. So for OTAs, and it maybe goes back a bit to rookie minicamp, it's like you said, we're kind of taking like a grain of salt and then trying to season a whole steak with it. But, we have nothing else to do right now. Dyami Brown just running on air. He looks so smooth. He looks so smooth. He catches the ball. He goes up to grab the ball. It just looks so smooth. And so that's kind of one takeaway from just a couple clips you've seen. And then things we've heard, him beating Troy Apke for a long bomb, which is obviously not very surprising. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick just, you hear day one of OTAs and there's an impressive back shoulder throw and catch between him and Cam Sims. Someone he's never thrown to, someone who's never caught the ball from him his first year in this particular offense. And I mean, he's just throwing the ball up there and guys are taking advantage of those opportunities. I think that's like a microcosm of really what this season will be with Fitzpatrick at quarterback, is him just throwing the ball to people and saying, hey, I'm going to throw it to you. I don't know who you are. I may not know your first name, but I'm going to throw it to you. And, I hope you'll catch it, which is so opposite of Alex Smith. Right. Yeah. And Dwayne Haskins, because Dwayne Haskins didn't know who to throw to. So I think those little things, just Ryan, just kind of, he may not know everything perfectly, but he knows what he's going to do. And Dyami Brown, smooth.
I'm going to go to off the field a little bit. I want to talk about Ron. Just seeing him out in the field, man, and not battling, what he went through last year, and he has that football aura. Like I don't know, I guess I'm one of the weird guys that look at all the OTA pictures and like dissect them all. I'm just looking at Ron and just like amazed by how good he looks, how healthy he looks, and then apparently Norv Turner's been at the practices, and you can just see that sense of camaraderie and that family type that unity that we've never seen really in Washington. And then I want to talk about the players' unity as well. We see the clips that Washington football team posts online, and just seeing how some of the cornerbacks are chilling with the wide receivers, and you see the D line with the O line, and just that tight knit. It's just something. There's something beautiful about that. And also one of my favorite players, and who I've heard has had a good OTA phase is St. Juice, Benjamin St. Juice. He had a pick today in practice, from what I've seen, what I heard, and I think he's gonna stand out. I think he's probably my favorite pick in the draft. I think he's going to take over that outside corner, and they're going to put Kendall Fuller inside. And it's just good seeing some of these rookies get that playing time, get those reps out there. So yeah, that's pretty much.
And even Matt Miller, who I know you guys had on your pod, and if you guys haven't checked it out already, make sure to check it out. Put the link in the description. Even he talked about how there could potentially be 4 or 5 starters out of this draft class. Like, very, very solid draft class. Yeah. I will say, when it comes to the cornerback position, something that really interested me was amazed me was how William Jackson III, I don't know if you guys saw the comment that was posted by All Pro Reels, but basically talked about how it's great to be at a franchise for the first time that has a great atmosphere, has a great culture, which is kind of ironic given the state of this Washington franchise for so long. So that definitely was eye-opening, and like you said, Tay, so sort of points to the change in culture of this Washington football team, and Ron Rivera being here and really riding the ship for the first time in a long time. So I will say that. Also, the De'Ami Brown point, I mean, what? Ron Rivera did say he was Terry 2.0 kind of? I mean, he does give out those vibes.
Could you imagine if he actually is?
Oh my gosh. But since we're on the wide receiver position, I know there was talk about Julio. Well, there is still talk about Julio Jones being traded by the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on Julio Jones here in DC. Do you think it's just a foregone conclusion that he's going to be with the Colts or with the Patriots or with some other team? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think most sense to me is the Titans. The Titans should be on that. If you ask me, Colts, Patriots, 49ers, Bills also make sense to me. I don't think we're going to do anything for in regards to trying to get Julio. Now, I mean, that would be an embarrassment of riches if you had Julio Jones. And even if it didn't cost a first-round pick, I would think maybe a second. But I'm kind of thinking I'm already at the 2022 draft just as it pertains to quarterback, right? And just kind of envisioning all the picks that we have and the ones we have the following year. We need to have as many as we possibly can in case we need to move up. And so I think if we had gotten that quarterback this year, I would say go get Julio. Do it. Surround him with as many weapons as you can. Where we're at now, and you have young guys, I'm good with them not making the move. Now, if the price is a third or a third and a fourth, why not? First, second, no, not on it. I think he goes. Titans makes the most sense. I would love to see with the Titans.
I heard a team propose a first-round pick in exchange for Julio. So
I saw something about that too. Yeah, then I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah,
too pricey.
Yeah, same. Same on Julio. I don't. He's just hamstring with him. Just everyday fantasy football hamstring, questionable.
Exactly.
I can't deal with that. Just give me guys. Just let these young guys develop and let them go to a contender where he can play 6 games and win a Super Bowl. But no, I think with the culture that we have and the young guys that we have, I think you just need those two. You just need those receivers that they have right now. The De'Ami Brown, Terry McLaurin, Samuel. Let these guys develop and don't bring in someone like that will hinder the development.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. And Julio played 9 games last year. So I mean, and then when he played, like you said, he wasn't really 100%. So you're never getting a healthy Julio.
No, it does feel like he's always hurt. That's what it feels like.
But yeah, so moving on from the wide receiver position, just looking at some other things that happened this week. What do you make of Landon Collins being back on the field for the first time since that major injury that he suffered last year? Do you think, Jack Arrio keeps saying that he's going to be the starting strong safety for us, but Do you think he's just going to be a safety by name? He's going to play more in the box. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like it's like I think that Landon Collins and Cameron Curl will be on the field at the same time. That it'd be a mistake not to have that. Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of in name / in practice. You can call maybe Cameron Curl reverts back to what his role was early on last season as that nickel, sort of big nickel defender. And then, if Landon Collins struggles again, then now we can just put Cameron Curl in, and we think we'll know what we'll get from him based on last year. With Landon Collins, it was a serious injury. I don't know if it's maybe not surprising. I guess it's positive to see him be able to be back on the field. But I tell you what, fans, and especially fans more than anybody, have a tendency to overestimate or exaggerate when they say someone is good or bad. But Landon Collins was really bad last year. It's really not an exaggeration to say he was pretty bad. So
but he did start to turn it on in that last game. Actually, when he got injured,
right. He had the sack fumble. He had the sack fumble. Then, so you hope that we'll get that right before he got hurt. He'll pick up right where he left off. Not the first 6 weeks of the season, but they're going to use him. I think he's going to be used for sure. He's talented.
Yeah, and that too.
Yes.
And that, And look, he's a good leader too. Like I think he's someone you want on your team and in your locker room. He just has to play better. But yeah, that's a big factor.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, Landon. I like Landon a lot. I was a big proponent when I loved him when when we signed him in free agency. But looking back at it, I kind of wish we didn't. But since we have that contract on the books, I think you have to use them as best as you can. And like you said, that Dallas game, he was really starting to turn. Imagine if we would have still had that piece, up close to the line and maybe fill in as a linebacker a little bit here and there. I think he'll start. I think he'll be a starter. I think he'll start the first snap, and then they'll put Cam Curl back in there. So like he'll be titled a starter, but I think Curl will.
Basketball.
Yeah, right. I think Curl will end up taking majority of the snaps there.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys were on this boat like as soon as we signed him. I know I wasn't for sure, but it's crazy to think that some fans, like the Washington football team fan base, was so close to like allowing Landon Collins to touch the 21 number, like let alone like just wear like it just like it's crazy to think a couple years later like he was that close, right, to like wearing Taylor's number.
So true.
That's why you got to be real careful with that stuff. You saw Dwayne Haskins with Joe Theismann. Okay. Yeah.
Out of Theismann field now. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
New York sports fan, what is this take? Larry Fitzgerald and Julio Jones greater than Terry McLaurin. I feel like trolling a little bit there, but
I agree.
Julio Jones. Julio Jones when healthy. That's the thing.
When healthy, and career wise. Larry Fitzgerald's been in the league for like 40 years.
Yeah.
But let's see Terry after 14, 15 years.
Yeah. But I want to get into the offensive line as well. Obviously, last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of turnover in that offensive line. Jerron Christian was released last week. Morgan Moses as well, which is kind of surprising to me and might have been surprising to you guys as well. What do you make of the Samuel Cosmi sort of anointing or him being anointed the right tackle already this early in camp? Do you think he is going to be a good starting tackle for us very soon? Or do you think he's, like a lot of draft experts thought going into the process, he's going to take some time, in order for him to be that good starter for us?
Yeah, I think right side, yes. I think he can be a left tackle, but I think throwing him out there at left tackle day one is where you start to see the struggles more so. I think he played left tackle for I think the last 2 years of college. I think he started his first year right tackle in college. But Ron Rivera has said and shown that he not only is not afraid to, but he likes to play young players. Now, personally, I'm a fan of this. I felt like back Mike Shanahan, Jay Gruden days, it was like a cardinal sin to play a young player, like play the 38, 39, 40-year-old before you play the rookie. And with Rivera, it's the opposite, where you have Cosme, and I think they just second round pick. They wanted him to contribute immediately. And I like it. I think that he can, because I think he's got the athleticism and he's got the time. It's not a ton of time off season, but to be coached up to get that technique right, and then do something at right tackle, because you don't have a long-term answer at left tackle. So you start him at right, get his feet wet, switch him over maybe next year. So I like it. I'm fine with it. I also don't think you had to cut Morgan, but I'm also fine with playing the younger, cheaper player. It was definitely a surprising move this year.
Yeah.
But at least it's not you're cutting Morgan and you don't know what's going to happen next. At least you're cutting Morgan and you're playing your second round draft pick.
Yeah. I thought Morgan was going to I thought he was going to be a surprise cut last year, honestly. I had actually put that in one of our pods last year, but he didn't get cut. But Cosme, I think let him play. He's athletic as I don't know what. And you just have to think, Ron's big about, I know his motto is, like Todd said, letting these young guys get a taste of that winning culture. And last year, a lot of these young guys won the division. You could say the division was sorry. You could say this, but they won the division and they competed with a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that won the Super Bowl. And now that carries over. So now those same young guys who won the division are now that's all they know. So Chase Young, that's all he knows. Montez Sweat, I mean, obviously he had that year before, but now they're starting to build that culture. And you place in Cosme, you place in these other rookies, and it's like, okay, well, we're the division champs, no matter who's the record. I mean, that's the status that we have. And I love the fact that Cosme's going to get thrown in there. Let him learn. The first couple of games aren't that tough. I mean, he's going to have Bosa probably. So let me take that back. But I think our O-line coach is pretty good. He's very good at he's very good at developing. So I think they must have saw something in the rookie mini camp and were like, okay, yeah, we can cut ties with Moses. Let's get this guy on the road.
Yeah. It's crazy that we went from Bill Callahan to Matsko, two great offensive line coaches in this league, just one after the other.
Right.
But I will say though, on the team going younger sort of point, I mean, it's crazy, right? There's 4 players right now that are 30 years old or over on the roster, and 2 of them are specialists, I think.
Yeah.
It shows you how young this team is, which is
very young.
Definitely cool to see.
It is absolutely. With Fitzpatrick, you assume if he gets replaced for a rookie quarterback, that's about an 18-year drop off. That average age of the team is going to drop significantly. I just love it. I'm just traumatized from Joey Galloway, from, I love Santana, but Santana, after he was Santana being still your guy, D'Angelo Hall, just holding on to players for too long and having oh gosh, man. So I'd rather be I'd rather be on the super young side than the super old side.
Completely fair. I mean, we also saw that with the Bucks last year, right? Minus Brady. I mean, that was a pretty young team. So
right, exactly.
Feels like going young is sort of the new wave and gets teams winning. So might as well do that.
Let's try to do it.
Yeah. But I do want to get to my guy, and I know he's your guy. I know he's everyone's guy. Scary Terry, man. Put some respect on his name. Scary Terry, how great of a season do you think this man is going to have this year? Because I think he's going to go absolutely off this year. So
when you just look at the numbers that Ryan Fitzpatrick's number one receivers have put up in his years where he started. I mean, he put Devontae Parker on the map. We all thought Devontae Parker was a bust. I think he had, I don't have it in front of me, he had maybe 115, 120 some plus targets. I think he went over 1,000 yards, I think 2 years ago, not this year, close to it. So when you combine that with Terry McLaurin, who went over 1,000 yards this year with 4 quarterbacks, went over or would have gotten to 1,000 yards the year before if he didn't miss a game with 4 quarterbacks. So if he can have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who in of itself is, even if you don't want to say he's better, he's a different style of quarterback than the others. With Ryan Fitzpatrick, you may lose his playmakers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, even if they win 7 games, the quarterback statistics are probably going to be much better. Now they'll probably be picks, but there'll probably be more yards, more touchdowns, all that stuff. So Terry healthy. I need him to stay healthy this year because a healthy Terry, no reason he shouldn't be able to hit 1,300 yards, maybe close to 100 receptions, and finally get his touchdowns. because they don't get him his touchdowns. So get him his touchdowns and get him the ball down the field too. Everything he's gotten this past year was yak, which he's great at. Keep doing that, but can we get him some? He ran a 4.3. Let's get him the ball downfield too.
Yeah.
So man, just stay healthy because Ryan's going to throw him the ball.
Yeah. I think of you say Devontae Parker. I think of Stevie Johnson as well. I think he had 3,000 yards receiving yards.
He just took it back. Yeah, Stevie Johnson.
So I mean, hey, he has a history. Fitz is going to let that thing fly, and that's one of the reasons why I like Fitz. But yeah, Terry, you got Curtis, you got Gibson, you got Diami, man, you got Thomas. I think he's going to have a great year because we got so many other weapons that are just going to be like, wow. I think the offense is going to open up more than what we saw last year. I mean, like Todd said, the quarterback play was atrocious outside of the Tampa Bay game, really, with Heineke. And I think I'm going to go on the line and say 10 touchdowns, probably close to 100 catches. I
if he stays healthy, that's another good point you made too. The who's across from him. Dontrell Inman was across from him last year. Can we just have a moment of silence for the fact that Dontrell Inman was our starting number 2 wide receiver? And then who started opposite of him in 2019? I don't remember.
Paul Richardson.
Paul Richardson. Yeah. So nothing basically, right? So not only do you have a quarterback who's going to throw the ball, you have some guys who actually draw some attention. Right. Yeah, man. I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Terry's going to get his touchdowns that much up, I guess, because of the fact that you got a guy like De'Ami Brown, you got a guy like Curtis Samuel who's probably going to be your main deep threat. Logan Thomas also catches a lot of touchdowns, and probably, tight end is always typically like the quarterback's best friend. So might have that good connection there here in DC, but I think maybe 12, 50, and 7 touchdowns, maybe, which is still a very good season for Terry.
Phenomenal.
You could see that out of him this year.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited to see an actual functional offense and maybe even a high octane offense for the first time since like Kirk Cousins, like second offense in the league, like type days with Jay Gruden scheming up the offense.
I don't think we appreciated that enough. Kirk Cousins almost threw for 5,000 yards. And then 2 years ago, we threw for less than 3,000. We really took that for granted, man.
I think though, again, this might be unpopular, but I think Jay Gruden and what he did to the offense those first couple of years, I think that's not being talked about enough.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. He was a great offensive mind. Mm-hmm. He was just not a great head coach, and he picked terrible defensive coordinators.
Yep.
But Kirk and then Garcon and Reed and Deshaun Jackson, man, Crowder, those were fun times.
Yeah.
Wasn't one of the defensive coordinators that we as fans wanted Jay Gruden to sign? Like, wasn't he a defensive coordinator on like a Super Bowl?
Wade Phillips.
Wade Phillips, I think, right?
Phillips went to the Rams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the year after.
Mm-hmm. Right. He wanted to be here. He wanted to be here. His son was here. There's a weird story about that. He wrote a book. Wade Phillips wrote a book. He interviewed here. Jay Gruden interviewed him, but he didn't really interview him. It's a weird story. You should look it up. And then he went to the Rams, and then, they were in the Super Bowl. But, whatever.
Jay Gruden. But I do want to shout out everybody in the chat. I didn't do that before, but the Pro Bowl office, Hart Studios, New York Sports Fan with that interesting take. And then Dub's family as well. Appreciate you guys for joining. I next want to get into the we can talk about the wide receiver group a little bit more. And I know you guys mentioned how high you are on when it comes to De'Ami Brown and Terry McLaurin, of course. So how do you think come week 1 the starting wide receiving core will look like, right? In terms of the 3 guys, will it simply be what everyone assumes right now with Terry and Curtis Samuel on the outside and then Adam Humphries in the slot? Or do you think De'Ami Brown will overtake Curtis Samuel on the outside by the time week 1 rolls around and Curtis might move to the slot? What are your thoughts on how the wide receivers will look like come week 1?
So on the same vein of Rivera, playing the young players, I said this, I think, on our last episode. I think that I'm just going to predict week 1 that you have Terry and De'Ami outside and Curtis inside and doing all the moving around. Humphries will come on when you go to 4 wide, or maybe Curtis Samuel's in the backfield, But I'm gonna say first play of the season, barring injuries, it's Terry or first nickel formation. I mean, not nickel. First 11 personnel, 3 wide is gonna be Terry, Diami, and Curtis in the slot. That's my prediction right now. Subject to change after training camp, though.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think Humphreys will get his time as well.
Yeah, I'll back that as well. I think you got to let Diami go out there and do his thing with that number 2. It's going to look sweet.
It's going to look cool. It's going to look cool. Yeah.
But as the rest of the roster, man, I'm kind of I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be some good competition. I would assume Cam Sims is going to make it because of him and Ron. I know Ron loves him to death in special teams, and he played well, serviceable. He played well enough to be your 5. But you got AGG. You got Steve Sims, who's going to be competing. You got Kelvin Harmon.
Right? Speaking of Steve Sims, where has he been during OTAs? Isn't he a guy that should be at OTAs because his job is on the line?
Yeah, of the 4 guys who weren't there, he's the one who absolutely undoubtedly needed to be there for sure. And it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, mistakes made.
But I like Isaiah Wright, man. He was my dog last year. I hope he makes the team. I don't know, but I like Isaiah Wright. I'm going to say Isaiah Wright, Cam Sims. DeAndre Carter, is he?
He is. I mean, he's competing. Yeah. I could see him as number 7 as a returner.
Same.
But I could see. Yeah.
Same. That's it. And I would say Cam Sims, AGG, and Wright and Carter to round out. Actually, I don't know because that's 8.
That's 8. Yeah.
Harmon. Think he's going to be back in time?
I don't know. I think it's tough. I'm glad I don't have to make the decision, man.
We were talking about
he showed some promise.
He definitely showed promise. I like him. He definitely showed promise. We were talking about it yesterday, I think me and Tay and a couple others. But if the competition between Harmon AGG is kind of comparable, I think they go AGG simply because they drafted him in the 4th round and he hasn't had really a chance to show anything. But Kelvin Harmon did look impressive. That 2019 season toward the end of the year for sure.
Made Haskins for a couple games look serviceable, right?
He was hard to do. One-handed catches. He was really helping Haskins out.
Yeah.
What do you think, man?
With Harmon, I really think this is going to be one of the situations like we've seen in recent years, like a Bryce Love, even so obviously take off the field stuff away, but Darius guys and some other guys as well, where we think these guys are going to be ready by the time training camp comes around, then they're not ready. Then we think they're going to be ready by the time week 1 comes around, then they're not ready. Then it just turns into a season-long thing, and then ultimately by the end of the season they put him IR. I just think it's going to be one of those situations if they decide to actually keep him. But I agree with you. If they like AGG, at a pretty much same level as Kelvin Harmon, they're probably going to go with AGG, even though I don't know. I'm kind of a Kelvin Harmon fan, and I think he did show some promise in 2019. And I get it. AGG last year, he had COVID, right? COVID short in off season and came from Liberty, so he needed those reps, didn't get them. That's why he struggled early. But I mean, outside of one run, right, one end run, I believe, he didn't show squat last year. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's my guy. I at Liberty I'm familiar with that school. Saw him, I think, his sophomore year. It was really dominant. Friend played with them, so 3 years. So I was watching him, and then when they drafted him, it was really cool because it was there's so many players they could pick, and they picked him. That's my guy, and he was terrible last year. I mean, he was horrible. He got hurt in camp, which slowed him down, and then he got in the field and he dropped a couple passes, and then he got hurt. Then he played most of, I think it was the Panthers game where he started and played most of that game. Panthers or Seahawks game. And I mean, aside from anything else, the effort wasn't really there. And so I hope he's putting the work in this year because, man, that's my guy. But it was a rough rookie season.
Would you say Sims is a lock? Cam Sims?
Me? Or Nati?
Nati, both of you.
I'm going to go with yes. I just think, like you said, as a 5, he's shown more. Just compare him to Kelvin Harmon, Cam Sims, Isaiah Wright, AGG. DeAndre Carter's done some stuff in the league, but to be that big body backup, I just think he really did show some stuff last year. If he didn't have the drop at the beginning of the Bucks game and a couple other ones, I think fans would be like, "Well, he can start for us," I say yes. I say yes on Cam Sims. I think he's impressed his coaching staff, but who knows? What do you say, Nati?
First off, what's up, AM? Thanks for joining. I will say, I think he is a lock, like you said, though, Todd, as a 4 or 5 receiver. I think it's important. His fit on this team is very important, like you said, because you need another big-bodied guy there. But I will say this. I don't think this is talked about enough. Obviously, he had that amazing catch against the Steelers, right? That pretty much like game-clinching catch, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget after that game, he was dropping pretty much everything. Like, he was dropping a lot of easy passes. And, like, I don't think a lot of people maybe remember that, obviously, because he had that one big highlight against the Steelers. And obviously, the games even before the Steelers, he was pretty darn good. I think he had one game where he was like 3 catches for
like 100 yards.
100 yards.
Like
it's crazy.
Giants game, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Hopefully he could go back to what he showed from the Steelers game and then before that. But I think he's a lock on this team. The other Sims, though, like we said earlier, Steven Sims, I mean, I think he's good as gone, especially him not being at OTAs. I know it's voluntary and all that, but you can't.
Voluntary.
Yeah.
We're on the bubble. It shouldn't be voluntary.
No, it should not be.
Yeah. But it'll be cool to see how that battle breaks out. At least now we feel like, Cam Sims, you don't want him competing to start. At least this year we're talking about the 5th, 6th, 7th receivers, not the 2nd, 3rd, 4th receivers.
Exactly.
Right. So that's good.
Exactly.
What about the guy from BYU?
Oh, Dax Milne. That's another one. Forgot about that name.
Personally, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was a huge fan of Zach Wilson from like late September. So I've been on like the Zach Wilson number 2 overall pick thing for a while, like all these experts jumped on ship and stuff. But like watching a lot of Zach Wilson highlights, a lot of film, and actually watching the games like live, Dax Milne always like popped out for me. So like in terms of just his overall like talent and his production on the field, obviously he doesn't have the greatest of speeds, doesn't have the greatest of heights, but he seems like a serviceable guy, and maybe he could be what we hoped Trey Quinn would be here in DC, maybe, but just like a little bit bigger. So I just don't. I think he probably will be stashed on the practice squad though at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It was like you said, when you watch Zach Wilson and you know he's not playing with Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith. You don't know who his receivers are, but then you're like, who are these guys catching everything? And that's what they were doing. Dax Milne was catching everything. I feel like if he can, you said Trey Quinn, we always compare guys. It would be like we always easily compare white receivers to white receivers, right?
Yeah,
I'm about to do it too. Adam Thielen, like I feel like if he can, right. But if he can get that, he's not the biggest, fastest, or strongest, but he can get that ability to just get open, to just win on routes. He's going to catch the ball and be that best friend. So practice squad probably, and then injuries, maybe he gets bumped up. But I think he's a smart guy, and if he gets opportunity, I think he'll catch the ball at least.
Great. Your thoughts, Tay?
Yeah, I think he's going to learn under Humphreys, and I think eventually he'll take over.
The other white guy.
Oh my goodness!
White receivers can't learn from black receivers.
I'm throwing the slot, man.
What about Steven Sims? You can't learn from Steven Sims?
No, drop punts. He can learn to drop punts.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. No, but I mean, again, he showed some talent. He was the number 1 guy for Zach Wilson and BYU. So, I mean, he has that going for him. 7th round pick. We shall see. Yeah. But Roger Smith, thanks for stopping by as well. We're just talking about the receivers, and we're about to go into another guy that we have on this team, and Darius Leonard. I mean, Jamin Davis, who I think will have an absolutely amazing season as well. What are your guys' thoughts on him being the 19th overall selection, what you've seen out of rookie minicamp and now OTAs, and do you think this guy could be a legit Pro Bowler behind this defensive line? And then everybody loves to talk about, he's going to be great behind this defensive line, but also in front of this very good secondary that we're building right now. How great is the potential for Jamin Davis?
So it's interesting because he wasn't being talked about in like January by anybody, right? Anybody, and then you look at him end up being the 19th overall pick after 1 year of starting, but he wasn't not starting in college because he wasn't good. He had really good players in front of him. Got hurt. He got his opportunity, and he just took advantage of it. So I look at Ron Rivera / Marty Herney's track record when they were in Carolina. They hit on their first round picks. You can dog him for whatever you want, but they hit on those first rounders. Also, Rivera and Jack Del Rio playing linebacker. They know what they're looking for. They know once they get them what they want to, how they want to coach them up. And then just Jamin Davis is just a physical athletic specimen. You're adding him to Montez Sweat and Chase Young and, William Jackson, who's this 4-3 guy, and all the other physical specimens that they drafted. So he's got the length, he's got the size, and he's got the speed. But then he is like, and I mean this in a good way, he's like a robot when it comes to like football. They asked him like what his cheat day meal is, and he said he doesn't have one because he doesn't cheat. He's crazy in a good way. Like he seems like you're not gonna have to force him to work. You're not gonna have to force him to study. I feel like for linebackers, it's one of those positions where studying film is just huge, is massive. And he talks about how he loves to watch film. Military background, he checks all the boxes in terms of what you want from a player from a first round pick, and then they're going to play him. So I think through the roof potential. The fact that he's on a good defense takes it even further. I hope you're right about that Darius Leonard thing, man. I hope if that is true, that takes the defense to another level. Man, I hope so.
Yeah,
I want better than that. I want better than Darius Leonard. I'm telling you, that's what I want.
You're getting greedy.
I mean, all pro guy.
I'm getting greedy, Nati.
Yeah, I think back to back offensive. He was an all pro as a rookie. Darius Leonard. Imagine if Jamin Davis is that. Sorry, go ahead, Tate.
Matt Miller said it. The fact that we got him behind that D line is not even fair. At first, I was skeptical. I was more so on the Micah Parsons. I want Parsons. But now looking at it, I think his character just fits this team, just who he is. And I think, can it be considered a steal? I think this is a steal what we got him. The dude is fast. And I don't think we've ever had a linebacker that is worth talking. I mean, LeVar Arrington maybe, but it's been a while since we had a
London Fletcher.
London's
the last one.
He wasn't like a freak though, like this guy. But it's like, man, we finally got a guy that can cover tight ends, who can cover the slot, and can do this and can do that. And I'm looking forward to it. I think he's going to be crazy. I think he's going to have a crazy rookie year, and I think we got a guy that's going to start 10 plus. I think he's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, and obviously he was putrid in coverage, but we did have a guy who had great like straight line speed, and Zach Brown, who had one decent season and just fell off the map. Yeah. So I mean, but I agree with your point. Like, it's gonna be crazy to see a legit like linebacker back there who has all the athletic tools that you want, just doing work right against like offensive lines and covering. I mean, covering tight ends. How many years in a row has the tight end problem been a problem for our defense? Like,
it was week 1 last year.
They never addressed it.
Yeah, I mean, week
Ron's
1.
Like, look, we're gonna get this fixed. Ron don't play.
Yeah, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert were going off in the first quarter of week 1. So, yeah, I mean, you hope the way Jamin Davis was playing Kyle Pitts transfers over. Because he's going to play. I mean, he's going to play Kyle Pitts. But if that middle of the defense can finally, for once, be solid, man, watch out.
Yeah. New York sports fan. 3-14. No.
The Jets might actually go 3-14.
I mean, I'm too high on Zach Wilson for that to happen right now. But I mean. I see record prediction. Got the Jets going 8-9. Okay, buddy. Yeah. Speaking of records, you guys have a record prediction for this Washington football team right now?
I'll say I'm in the 7-9 range. That's my. I'm not picking one of the three just yet.
I was just about to ask.
If I had to pick, I'd probably say 8. 8 and 9. I don't think I'm pessimistic. I try not to be optimistic and set myself up because I think the team improved. The main reason why I say 8 or 9 is because I think quarterback play is good for the extra 3-4 wins that gets you to 11-6 or 12-5. But since Ryan Fitzpatrick, in terms of consistency, is a wild card, I look at what they did last year with the quarterback play they had last year. They got to 7. So I say this year 8. But if Fitzpatrick, has probably his best year ever, 10, 11. But I'm going to say 8, probably 8 and 9 for now.
Okay.
My thing is, question: are they better than last year? The team, the talent.
Yeah.
And they were 7 and 9, right?
Yeah.
Schedule's tougher though.
Yeah, but they're better. Right? Another year in the scheme.
But by that logic, then they should be about the same, right? If the schedule is tougher, but they are better, does that
balance
it should be about the same? Yeah. But I think I'm going 10.
Okay.
I'm going 10. My number's at 10. I think they can. I mean, the division is just sauce. By the time we get to that round robin at the end of the year, I think we'll have about 6 or 7 wins.
Okay. I mean, no, that's possible. That's possible.
I mean, okay. So last year we won 7 games with terrible quarterback play, right?
Yeah.
Now with just Fitzpatrick, last year you're looking at maybe how many games? 11? 10,
I
11?
mean, look, I think with Kyle Allen last year, you're looking at 9. Honestly,
the talent is harder. The schedule's harder, but that's all subjective. I mean, I think it could be different, when we get into the season with injuries and all that stuff.
That is true. That is true. You never know. But the defense is going to be tested.
Oh yeah.
Tested.
Oh yeah.
Tested.
Oh yeah.
I mean, early on, right? You got Herbert, a guy that, I mean, not arguably, he definitely had a better season than Joe Burrow last year, and arguably is phenomenal. Going to have a better career, if we're going to be honest. I mean, he was going bonkers.
Good.
Yeah. If I really hope that week 1 Justin Herbert isn't lighting the defense up, because that's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah,
but it's okay. Long season.
Yeah. I will say this: my record prediction is kind of in between both of your guys's. I think we're going to go 9 and 8. I think we will be better than last year, but I think the schedule will prevent us from winning 10 plus games. I will say this though. Speaking of New York sports, I guess I'm higher on the Giants than a lot of people out there. I think the Giants are going to be very solid this year. They're pretty much just like us. They got everything pretty settled, right? Obviously, our defense is tad bit better, but I mean, their offensive skill players are very good as well. They added a Kenny Golladay. Obviously, you have to add in the caveat that he stays healthy this year, which is when we talk about fantasy football with Julio, Kenny Golladay is usually not healthy either, so we'll see about that.
Right.
But obviously, though, you got the Danny Jones versus Ryan Fitzpatrick comparison. I think we're better there, but I think the Giants are going to be solid. I think they're going to be the second best team in this division this year behind us.
I'm with you on that. I've been thinking that. If someone were to ask me to choose who would win the division, and I mean, it's up in the air. The homer wants to say Washington. It hasn't happened back to back in a long time. But if not us, I think the Giants. But I also, again, I think it's all in Daniel Jones, because they have definitely surrounded him with talent. Their defense is solid. Will Saquon stay healthy? Will Kenny Golladay stay healthy? And then Daniel Jones. I don't know how he went from 24 touchdowns as a rookie to 11 last year. That's worse than us, right? That's worse than us. So if he quote unquote bounces back, then for sure. But I could see them also. I could see it coming down to, honestly, what we play them week 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That could be the game.
Yeah. I don't know. Tay, do you have any thoughts on the Giants potentially?
They're gritty, man. They're gritty. They're just like us. They're one of those teams that all right, we got to bring. It's going to be a 10-3 game, 17-14.
Right.
I just can't stand the Giants. But hey, Judge is doing a great job, and their biggest thing is injuries. With Saquon, can he stay healthy? Galladay, like you mentioned, can he stay healthy? Danny Jones, is he the real deal? This is their year to figure that out. a part of me may think they may, if he's not the guy, I'm gonna say tank, but they might be better off losing and getting that guy. And then if they get a quarterback, it's
right.
it's gonna get serious. Like so we're all, I think we're both a quarterback away from being really, really, really good teams.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Todd, I heard you say like the week 17 or week 18.
Week 18, that's right.
Week 18 game will might be for the division. I mean, yeah, I tweeted that out like a couple of weeks ago, and I definitely agree. I think it's gonna come down to New York and Washington, and it should be fun. It should be a fun year for the division. I think the Cowboys, I mean, you got the media buzz, right, about them winning it all, or at least winning the division, I should say. And Dak Prescott going off after that major injury, right? Like he just comes back as if nothing happened.
Yeah. Right.
But no, I definitely agree. Giants and Washington.
Yeah. And I mean, you just look at the Cowboys, and they've got the offensive weapons for sure. But their defense last year, I know they got a new defensive coordinator. I know they had a couple players, but their defense was giving up 32 points a game for the first half of the season, and then 29 and a half.
The secondary.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and their defensive line is not, I mean, their linebackers, Jalen Smith took a step back. Sean Lee retired. They always have injuries concerns with their linebackers. They have good linebackers who can't stay healthy often. Their defense, if their defense doesn't take a big step forward, they give up 29 points a game last year defensively. If they even drop to 26, they're still not good. Yeah. So that's my main thing with the Cowboys. If you have to score 30 points to win every game, it's not a recipe for success.
All right.
Agreed.
I think their defense, I'm going to go on record and say I don't think their offense is going to be as good as it was last year. I think their defense is going to improve, though. I think I'm not scared of their offense anymore as I was. I mean, we got pieces on defense now, where we can kind of combat their weapons. I think their defense is going to be pretty good, though. I think, they got Keanu Neal and Parsons and a couple of – I think their linebackers will be healthy. Their D-line, they don't really have anybody, but they always play hard. I'm just not sold on Mike McCarthy. That's a good point. That's the big thing with me. I'm not scared of him as a coach. Yeah. I just think it's between Judge and Rivera for that division.
That's a good point.
Yep. Agreed. You mentioned Jalen Smith, Todd. This is completely unrelated, but I mean, what he spent 6 figures, like buying out all of his old jerseys so he could get a new jersey number for a team he might not be on past this year. That's very, very funny.
Yeah. That was a short-sighted decision. He should have just waited until after this year and then tried to switch to 9, especially coming off a rough year. But hey, whatever. You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah. I see all you guys in the chat. 12, so sad about Steve Sims, his speed. Who was the number 3? I mean, he had the speed, the route running. We saw the check down tweet. I think it was late 2019 season. There was a tweet about, look at this like gem like in Washington. Like he has crisp routes and all that. And we saw that, but like last year, I mean, I said it before and I'll say it again. He is Mr. Drop a Week, whether that be a drop after being thrown the ball or a drop in terms of muffing a punt or a drop in terms of just fumbling the ball. He's in for one of those every single week.
Yeah. And the frustrating thing about it is he is a good route runner. He is good at getting open. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the games back, and I mean, yeah, he was. You can't get limited opportunities. You can't like not stay healthy and then get limited opportunities, and then in those limited opportunities, not take advantage of every single one. With the coaching staff who didn't bring you in, it does suck because he did look like he had some real potential. I mean, I'm still not like completely out on Steve Sims. Like he had a sophomore slump. Now I don't think he makes the team, but I think he had a sophomore slump, and maybe he'll go somewhere and he'll find a niche or a spot. But yeah, last year, man, he got open, but then can't catch the ball and then gets hurt, misses half the season. It was a bad combination. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna talk about that. I don't really. I'm sorry. I just don't like. I mean, them muff punts just really get me. Big time.
Costly games, man. Like, I know you guys are the the film breakdown gurus. So I'm going to leave this question up here from Roger Smith. We may run a 4-2-5 or a 5-2-4. Flexibility on that defense. I mean, oh my gosh. I feel like it's Ron Rivera's favorite phrase, position flex, right? He says it all the time in his pressers. How versatile do you think this defense is going to be this year?
I mean, you see they're trying, Troy Apke at cornerback. Bobby McCain, who they signed, really made his money as a nickel cornerback and then switched to free safety. Kendall Fuller can play outside nickel and free safety. Cam Curl can play some strong and free safety. DeShazer Everett can play some strong and free safety if he makes a team. Landon Collins they may not call him a linebacker, but he can play strong safety and big nickel in the box like a linebacker. You look at what they did. 4-2-5. Yeah, that's like nickel. That's who is that fifth person? Is it Cam Curl? Is it Landon Collins with Cam Curl out there? Is it St. Juiced outside? Kendall Fuller inside? And then that 5-2-4. That would be the 5-2-4 would be phenomenal because then you would really have Chase Young, probably Matt Ioannidis, John Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat all on the field at the same time. Could you imagine? So. And that's they've got flexibility. They love flexibility, and that's what they've gotten. Isn't it nice to have a coaching staff that has a vision? They don't just randomly grab ingredients and just mix it up. Like they say, no, we want guys who can do this and this and this and this. And that's what they get, and then they use them properly. Oh man, I love it.
Man, Ioannidis.
Oh my goodness, Ioannidis. We keep forgetting about him, man.
Yeah.
Arguably the best interior defensive lineman on this team. I mean, that might be a hot take, but.
No, sir. Pass rusher for sure. Interior for sure.
Yes.
Man, yeah. And Jack was cooking up some exotic blitzes last year. He's just probably going to go even deeper into his bag of tricks. I love when you rush 4 against 5 and you have a free rusher. Man, that's like a dream.
Yeah. I think it's going to be diverse. I think they have a lot of tools, and Todd took a lot of my stuff out. I was going to say about Fuller. and Fuller playing. Right. I mean, we're just so versatile. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like offenses will be confused about the schemes that we run because literally everybody can play everything, And I know we won't make it too confusing, but Jack, he does a great job, and man, our defense is just loaded. I think I like Holcomb, Tony. Yep. I like our young pass rushers behind. Chase and Montez Sweat, William Bradley, James Smith Williams. I like all those guys, man. I think I'm serious, man. I think they're gonna. Oh man, I think I'm excited.
Oh, agreed. I have a couple of questions more lined up for the stream. I want to get into the running back group. Tony Gibson talked about guys that we've been high on, and Tony Gibson is another guy that I've been high on from very early on. Started comparing him to Alvin Kamara very early in the process. Talked about him being an Alvin Kamara type back. They were both drafted late 3rd round. Very limited reps in college, but I thought he would burst out onto the scene in his rookie year, and he did. Do you think Antonio Gibson is going to continue taking the league by storm this upcoming season? Do you think he can get some more reps as a pass catcher this year? Maybe improve his vision, which I don't think is being talked about enough on Twitter, right? Because that was a little bit of a concern early on in the season, just him being able to find the rushing lanes and stuff. What are your thoughts on him? And then Jared Patterson as well, being brought over in the offseason. Do you think he's going to be a very solid producer for this year?
So you did make a good point on Antonio Gibson and the vision problem. Now it wasn't Trent Richardson bad at all. It wasn't like that, but it was definitely a guy who was learning a new position, and it did get better as the season went on. You look at the fact that he was on pace to run for 1,000 yards in the I can't remember. I don't remember the 30th ranked rushing offense. Something it was really low, and when he was splitting time with Peyton Barber, and then obviously J.D. McKissick. And he was still learning the position, not taking advantage of all the runs. And he still, if he didn't get hurt, might have hit 1,000 rushing yards. And then you look at this year and say, well, for one, I've been watching the games back, and I forgot how much he was splitting time with Peyton Barber. He really was early on. He was not getting a lot of carries every game, maybe 12, 15. But this year he comes in as your lead dog. I think he's coming in and he's your guy getting 20 carries a game. If you have 20 carries a game, hopefully And so he's got the year of experience. He's going to get more opportunities, and they'll probably use him more. Again, that versatility. Oh, he could, if he stays healthy, he could have a massive year. We could start to see if they start to use him the way Kamara gets used. Man, he could have an awesome year. It's exciting that he did not hit his potential at all last year. He didn't even get close to his potential last year.
Right.
That's a crazy record prediction. I mean, or not record,
Pick him up in fantasy if that happens.
Yeah,
Please.
Pick him up in fantasy regardless, though. I mean,
well, yeah, you're right about that. You got the touchdowns. They were at least giving him the ball in the red zone to get those touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I love about Gibson that kind of carried over was touchdowns. In college, he did. I mean, his touchdown ratio, the carries was just out of this world, and it kind of carried over to. Obviously, it wasn't to that extent, but I mean, 10 touchdowns last year? 11. You see, and he missed
a couple Cowboys game.
Yeah, you see, and that just showed a glimpse, you know, and I think so 17 touchdowns may not be that far off, you know. I just think with the offense, the weapons, you got Curtis Samuels out there who's going to be getting some carries as well. I think you'll see him lined up as receiver. I think the sky's the limit. I think his potential is just Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara type guy. And Jared Patterson, man, can he catch the football?
He can catch the ball. They just didn't ask him to catch the ball.
If he can, watch out. That dude, I saw some of the clips. That man got a little burst. Shout out to Jalen from Bleeding Burgundy. He pumped him up, and I think he's going to take over that spot. I'm hoping he takes over for Barber.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm not a big Peyton Barber fan. Lamar Miller is not a bad.
Don't say sorry. That's
okay.
Okay on the channel. Yes,
like he's good at what he did, which was get a yard or two, you know. But a little more than that, man. Jared Patterson is one of those guys where like he's undrafted because you know he was at Buffalo, right? And then I mean, obviously he had some otherworldly stats, but like it's Buffalo and who you're playing against, but. Like he's a small guy, but I feel like that's an advantage for him. His center of gravity is so low. He is very, very hard to tackle.
Yes.
He's built like a I don't know, like a tree trunk. Like man, so I would love for him to be your third running back / 1-2 punch. I hope he makes the team over Miller or Barber because we don't know exactly what Patterson is. Maybe he won't be that great, but let's find out. But we know what Peyton Barber is.
Right.
No, I completely agree. It would be nice to have him be sort of that, you know, good backup for Antonio Gibson and for us to have a very good receiving core coming out of the backfield. And also, you know, in terms of running backs, actually running the ball and running up the gut and stuff, which we haven't had too much success of over the last 4 or 5 years. So I will say outside of maybe Adrian Peterson, I think he was pretty solid here in DC.
He was solid, yeah.
2 more questions. Very quick one before the last one. I want to ask you, I mean, of course, the rumors are always going to be there. You got a guy like Aaron Rodgers, got a guy like Deshaun Watson taking his, his off the field stuff. I've heard about, you know, potentially settlements coming. But do you think Washington at this point, right, late May 2021, do you think at this point, they're very comfortable with the quarterback situation, going to go into the season with this present quarterback situation and just roll with their guys and see what we got for the 2021 season?
Yeah, the conspiracy theorist in me would say they cleared up cap room so that after June 1st they could trade for Aaron Rodgers. But the realist in me says, yeah, they're very content with Fitzpatrick and he's going to do what they want their quarterback to do, which I think is likely. Yeah, I think they probably go with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, same. I think they like Fitzpatrick a lot. Ron talking him up, and just the chemistry would kind of be, I wouldn't say a low blow to kind of trade for Rodgers like right now, but it kind of be, I think it would be kind of bad. You know, it wouldn't.
Right.
I mean, obviously the team would welcome it, but it'd be like, okay, what? I think they're content. I think next year, I think they're going to go all out. I think this year they're going to show that, okay, we're a quarterback away. And they want other like veterans to see it, maybe like a Wilson or Rodgers, and they're like, look, okay, this is the final piece. But I think they're going to develop these young guys so that next year when they place that quarterback, it's ready, it's on and popping. It is on.
Yeah.
Speaking of on and popping, last question, as I like to ask everyone that joins the streams. What do you think of the future of this Washington football team? Do you think the sky is the limit for this team? Do you think Ron Rivera is building a team that in a year or two will be a legit Super Bowl contender, maybe actually winning number 4? I mean, do you think all that is coming? Like, what are your thoughts on the future?
So as I was thinking about these things this past offseason, in my mind, I was thinking if they have 2 strong off seasons, including this one that just happened and next year's 2 strong off seasons where you hit on free agents, where you hit on draft picks, and you find your quarterback between the 2 off seasons, then absolutely I say they can become legit contenders. So that's really it for me. I think they had the first strong off season this year. I think this was the first one. Next year, have another strong one, but I think you got to get the quarterback, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, or it's a rookie that you hit on. If you do that, then yeah, I think 2022 you should be like planning to make the playoffs, and then 2023, if it's a rookie, then you should be contending for the Super Bowl. So they got to nail next offseason for sure. I think they nailed this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and back that. However, I think that this year, I think next year the window is open. I think what Ron is trying to build, not a 1 year, a 1 year wonder and then be bad for 2 years and then another 1 year wonder. Right. I think what he's trying to build is what Kansas City has or what Belichick has. And just, even though we may not win it, we're going to be very close. We're going to be there each and every year, like Buffalo. They're in the playoffs every year. They're making that push and they're going to make that stride. I think he will be the guy that gets us number 4. I'm just extremely optimistic. I think, like Todd said, it has to be the quarterback. You have to. I think next year, this offseason coming up, I think, like you said, I think we nailed it. I think this offseason coming up will be the biggest one in history, especially with the name change. And I think you go get your quarterback. You got to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely gonna be fun to see what this team has in store.
The thing is you got all these young guys, so now it's like you're growing with the team. Exactly. So now you're not going to see like it's now it's just everybody's just growing. So you have that 5 to 6 year window where guys are still young and they're going into their primes, and you're building that knit. And I think he's going to get us one. I think Ron he deserves it, man. He's such a good guy, and he does it the right way.
Yeah. He got so close the first time. I think this time around he wants to win it. Like, he's gonna do everything he can to win it. Yeah. But yeah, agree with Roger Smith building a juggernaut. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun to see this team be hopefully a consistent winner for years to come. It's also gonna be crazy just to see a team for most of our childhoods that was just not good whatsoever and just a lot of chaos, and for us to be like a stable franchise for the first time in a while it's always great to see. Yeah.
I have one last question before we get on that. So say if that happened within the next 5 years, Ron Rivera wins the Super Bowl, does that forgive the last 20 years of Dan Snyder? Does it quote unquote undo it? He hired Ron Rivera.
I think yes, because he finally came to his senses, and hopefully it's no going back. So I think I give him mad respect for doing it the way he did with Ron. But that's a tough question. But I would say, I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. That's tough.
Best question all stream. Yeah,
that's tough, man.
I think about that. Hopefully we find out, but I'd be willing to find out.
I will say this. I won't forgive Dan Snyder for the last 20 plus years of being a trash franchise, but I will definitely not like Tay said, I will try to not look at the past and just keep looking in the future. And I mean, I've already taken that stand right now, but just even more so obviously if they win it.
Right.
Yeah.
But That being said, sorry for keeping you guys a couple of minutes over. I appreciate you guys for joining, taking time out of your evenings to join us to watch football weekly live stream. It's been really fun. Thank you to everyone who joined in the chat. New York sports fan, Roger Smith, AM Hunter, down south. Sorry, I'm just saying your comment now. It's gonna be. We talked about it earlier, but it's gonna be really fun to see what this Washington defense looks like. I mean, they were already second or third last year. Although I think that's a little fool's goldish because they didn't play. When they played the greatest of offenses, they got a little torched. We're gonna be honest, but I think this year they're gonna be much better. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining. It's been very fun. Hope you have a great rest of your night. And Wizards, please win a game. And that's how we're going to end it. Peace out.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you.